Okay, looks like we're live. Okay, thank you, commissioners, for joining us for today's committee of a whole meeting. It's going to be a short meeting. We don't have too much to discuss since majority of the agenda items at next month's meeting are presentations. Um, with that being said, we'll handle some old business in terms of admin stuff, and then new commission business, and then friendly notice again that I'll be hopping off to deal with a matter at our community center, our community room in Union Market. So don't mind me. I know we have a presentation from DDOT, I believe, and also any potential updates from our BZA case 20906. So with that
I'll
being
be here.
good. So with that being said, Commissioner Roblin, can you confirm who's presenting on the BZA case?
Oh, two people, the owner and I forgot his name. I'm sorry, I didn't
Is it
know.
Marty Solomon or
Yes,
Nima?
Marty. It's
Okay.
Marty.
Okay. They're in the waiting room. Just want to make sure.
And the architect, maybe too. They're not sure.
Okay. Gotcha. With that being said, we'll go in with the admin stuff right now. Um, I know Commissioner May, you already shared with us the May meeting minutes from this month. You already drafted those and uploaded the draft to our website. So commissioners, I just ask if you go ahead and look at that when you have time prior to June's meeting so we can go ahead and vote on those. If any information is missing on there, please let Commissioner May know as our secretary so we can get that properly updated. Um, Commissioner May, can you confirm if you were missing any documents?
I don't think I'm missing any action items.
Did
We do.
I? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that we do need to make sure that. Hang on, let me refresh myself on whether there were any letters that we owed to anyone for BZA purposes. So we did not move forward on 1108. Sorry, give me 1 second. No, I think. Oh yeah, the stage 2 PUD at Union Market. We do need to send
Yes, I'll be sending
a
that
letter.
tomorrow. But did you get a copy of the letter of support for the art room's stipulated liquor license request? Did I send a
No,
copy of that to you? Okay, I'll
I do
forward that
not
to you.
have that.
I'll forward you those two items tomorrow then so we can update those minutes.
That's perfect. Yeah, those would be great. And then if we did get copies of the presentations that we had at the meeting, we can include those as well. But it's okay.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. So I'll get you that information tomorrow.
Thank you.
Outstanding invoices. Commissioner Cobb, as our treasurer, can you confirm if we can pay people now? I know you've been having a lot of issues with the bank.
We are so close. We got our signature
Not yet.
card and I got it submitted. Apparently, there's just an issue with one more form, and I'm trying to get some clarification from OANC, but they're just not. They haven't gotten back to me yet. It's where'd it go? Let's see. Come on. So the paperwork's in. They got the check. They got the signature card. The issue is it's just a few little check there. Yeah, I mean, like they forgot to put the account name on the form, which like okay, whatever. And then just need to sign and date the bank verification. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so it sounds like just some small admin stuff.
yeah, I mean it might require me to take another trip up to the bank, but that's okay.
Okay.
So we're getting closer.
Okay, perfect.
We're almost there.
Hopefully we can get them paid by August, since we're off in July and well, I mean, we have how many weeks until our June meeting? We have
It's
The
18th,
12th.
12th.
June 12th, got it. So less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if anything happens and then I'm willing to add an agenda item to our agenda. to get those folks paid before the summer.
Okay. And then yeah, the outstanding items are Reed, I have your check whenever you want to come pick it up. And then it's the zoning lawyer for last year's work, and then our intern.
Got it. Perfect. Yeah, so it's just three folks, right? Reed, the attorney, and our intern.
Yep.
Got it. Perfect. Okay, good to know. Update on the 5D01 seat for Union Market, as I was mentioning at the beginning of the meeting with some of you before we commenced the live YouTube. The position has been filled. The seat has been filled, and Mr. Harbuckle. I don't want to mispronounce his name, so I'll wait for Board of Elections to make the public notice. But there was two individuals that did file petitions to get on a ballot for the special election of the open seat at 5D01, which is Union Market. One of those individuals was there was a complaint submitted with the Board of Elections, as the public was allowed to do in regards to their petitions. And that individual decided to step down from the special election, leaving the door open for the other individual that submitted a petition to automatically become the next ANC for 5D01. So as of last Monday, that's been their seat. I have not been touching any of their business. They can go ahead and handle that once they've been sworn in by Councilmember Parker. That is the last update that I got from the Board of Elections that I wanted clarification for, just mainly to see if they will be attending our next ANC meeting. But they weren't responsive to the emails, so I just, letting them get through the Memorial Day weekend before they get into the chaos of ANC admin work, especially potential backlog for them. I've been on top of the stuff that's been requested from Union Market, but I'm sure there's more stuff that an ANC on the ground can do. So best wishes to them, best luck to them on their new position on the commission. So that officially makes us 9. We have 9 ANC commissioners in our commission again. And quorum is what, half plus 1, so it's an odd number. So what is that technically, 6?
5.
5. Is it 5 or 6 for quorum?
Let's say 5.
Okay, we'll go with 5. I'll get that clarification for OANC once they actually make that decision public as well. So we make sure we're moving forward with our procedures and that are parliamentary in those as well. Okay, so the final admin thing in terms of old business is status of committees. I know we have a few committees that are currently open, such as businesses and grants. And I think that's it because we molded those two together, especially to tackle ABRA stuff. That one's technically open. Zoning is filled by myself as chair and Kevin Horgan as co-chair. Environmental is Commissioner Rhodes, and transportation is Commissioner Cobb. In terms of the status of the committees, we haven't been too formal like we have been in the past. I would like to see them a bit formal. Zoning is our most, I guess, organized one out of the bunch right now, just because they have consistent meetings that we publish on our YouTube page, and we have a phenomenal co-chair that's been great at keeping that organized. I was supposed to meet with them tomorrow to update on current outstanding matters, but other than this BZA case that we'll be presenting a little bit today, 20906, there was no outstanding or any fires with the zoning committee, so that's pretty good. We'll see what comes after July. So we'll keep everyone posted on that. But myself and Kevin will be making quarterly reports to share with the commission. So Commissioner Cobb, if you're interested in providing those quarterly reports as well, that'll be great instead of monthly reports. Because sometimes we would just go by not really having any news per se, because majority of the information gets trickled down to the public anyways. So we just don't want to make it a monthly thing if technically everything that's being presented at our committees typically always is presented at the public as well. Is there any questions on the committees or any comments or feedback?
No, it sounds good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's see. Just want to make sure. Okay. New commission business and speaking on committees. Um, I'm on a few, well, yeah, I'm on a few caucuses, and one of them is the Rainbow Caucus here in DC. And one of my colleagues on that caucus from Ward 2 um, recommended establishing committees to some of the issues that I was presenting, particularly on trash. I feel like every single member district in ANC 5D has residents that um, devote some time and energy to this issue, whether addressing the issue or their interest in helping on the issue. So I'll be interested. Um, I'm sorry, just checking the waiting room. There's some folks in there. Checking. I'm diving into the interest of residents to join a new committee just focusing on trash, illegal dumping, littering, anything regarding trash that also involves our rat issue that we have consistently around the city, addressing some of those concerns and issues. And if you look at the link, it just shows the typical outline that we use for all our committee establishments. So feel free to look at that and feel free to present any questions to the public or right now if you'd like on the COW in terms of the trash committee establishment. If you're interested in engaging as a chair for the committee, by all means, it's open. If not, I'll take the lead on it because it has been one of my focuses mainly the past couple of years as a commissioner. So I thought it would be necessary to actually establish something more formal for residents to um, participate in and assist with, since trash is a major issue that we've been having. I've spoken to many other commissions on this issue, particularly commissions east of the river, and they do see the problem frequently. They do wish that residents would assist more in it, just like we do. But I think if we establish something more formal where people can convene and discuss this entirely, just solely, I hope that we can get something out of it. So we'll see how this goes. So we'll see how the commission decides to vote at our public meeting next month, and we'll proceed from there. Um, Are there any questions on old and new business or anything that wasn't added to the agenda before we get these presentations going? So just so for the sake of time, since I might be having to step away for our public safety issue at our community room, I just want y'all to look, if you're looking at the agenda, I just want y'all to look at the public agenda items for next month. I have here requested presentations, the New York Avenue Streetscape and Trail Project, a DDOT update on Mount Olivet Road and 17th Street, a DDOT update from on the Bladensburg Road study. Is there anything else missing in terms of requested presentations? I see a lot of them are DDOT or development per se in our area right now. But is there any requested presentations that you all know that should be added to potentially the agenda next month? No? Okay, perfect. And then voting action items. Again, I had that letter that I'm presenting to establish trash committee. BZA they'll be presenting today at the COW. That's BZA case 20906, 1251 Moore Street Northeast. They'll be presenting and we'll be voting on whether to support the project or not. And Commissioner Cobb, are you going to have a letter on WMATA's Better Bus feedback?
I will. I'm planning to get it out this week.
Okay, cool. So I'll leave that on there. Commissioner Roblin, Commissioner May, is there anything else that needs to be added to the agenda? Take that as a no. Okay.
Well, just
Go
sorry,
ahead.
I was slow to unmute. From a voting perspective, I think the two.
Hello?
Sorry, I muted myself accidentally. I think the two things we may need to consider is we had a couple of zoning cases last month that may be coming back. The one at 801 17th Street, the streetscape, and then I don't know if the folks from Montello Avenue, I think it was, are coming back. The ones who did not get our support at the last meeting. Anyway, I wanted to mention those two, and then I also think DDOT may request a vote regarding Bladensburg, per what Karen said at the CAC.
Yes, she's requesting a letter of support, correct?
Yeah, 1108 did not, I've been in touch with the owner and no word that they want to come back. It looks like they don't to me. I also
Okay.
wanted to say that if anyone here, I don't know if there's anyone online listening or people can use the chat feature, but if anyone is interested in cleanup and beautification, I have a constituent that wants to get started on it right away. So the new committee is perfect, but if anyone is interested, please, email one of us. You email me at 5do3@anc.dc.gov because we do want to get going on that as soon as possible.
Okay. And I noticed that a lot at our public meetings, we tend to have to repeat ourselves a lot to share our contact information. So within the next 2 weeks, I'm hopefully going to create a background so some of you all as commissioners, including myself, can use with your contact information in the back, so we can just save a few minutes out of the meeting without having to consistently share our contact info. Obviously, you don't have to use it, but it's just something helpful for the public so they can easily see your email address or potential contact information. Okay, with that being said, it looks like, again, this was going to be a short meeting tonight. With that being said, we just have our folks that are presenting. Do we know if someone's presenting from DDOT today? I don't think I got a response from that email that I sent to him.
It should be Will Hansfield.
Did he confirm? I don't remember him
Where'd
confirming.
it go?
I know we have the BZA folks here right now, so we can let them.
Yeah,
I thought he confirmed, but I could be wrong.
he did. He confirmed on Thursday.
I wonder if he confirmed for the public meeting, but not for this.
He said for our next working meeting and the June 12th public meeting.
Okay. Can you?
We're a little ahead of schedule, maybe because they're up at 6:30. Maybe he's just waiting until then.
Okay. Can you forward him the Zoom info just to make sure he has it, and then we'll let these BZA folks present first.
Sure.
Okay. This is where I'll make use of the flexibility of remote stuff, and I'm gonna hop off my video, but I'll still be on as on my other Zoom on my phone. So let me just stop this. Hello, Mr. Sullivan. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. Can you confirm who is in attendance with you tonight?
Sure. I have the property owner, Seper Sadeghi, and the architect, Nima.
Okay, perfect. We got those two. Okay, so thank you for attending tonight's working meeting with the ANC here, ANC 5D. Pretty similar to what you've been doing in the past at our zoning committee meetings. You're just going to present. This gives you an opportunity to speak directly to us as the ANC. We do have 4 folks attending today. We don't have quorum, so we're not making any votes, but at least you have the opportunity to engage us more directly before a public meeting next month. So with that being said, I'm going to pass this over to you all and allow the commissioners to ask questions. Just a friendly reminder, this is being broadcasted live on YouTube for the public, so they can easily reference. So whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and start. Thank you.
Thank you. I wasn't sure, Nima, if you were sharing the plans or did you want me to bring them up? I guess I'm bringing them up. Okay, all right, hold on one second. So if I can share my screen, I'll start with some photos. Sorry. Okay, can everybody see photos? Are the photos up?
Yes.
Thank you. So this is the front of the property. It's 1251 Moore Street Northeast. And here's the rear of the property, and there's a view from a little further back of the property. Currently a single family. The proposal is to, and I'll go to our rendering here. The proposal is to convert it to a 3-unit building and to do an addition. And there's several areas of relief necessary as a result of this plan. So the first area of relief is side yard relief, because while there is no side yard requirement in this zone, there's a restriction against eliminating an existing side yard. And so this plan proposes to eliminate the side yard on the left side of the building. So that's one area of relief. The other area is architectural elements, because the cornice here, as it exists currently, I'll go back to the photos, will be extended to the side. So the cornice isn't going to go away, but this needs to be added, and that's considered an alteration of the architectural element. So we need relief for that. We're asking relief from the 10-foot rule because the rear of the building, and I should pull up the plat for this, will go 15 feet beyond the rear wall of the neighboring property. And so if you go 10 feet, more than 10 feet past, special exception relief is required, and this is going 15 feet past. Court relief. This closed court is being provided to provide some additional light to the units. And as a closed court, it doesn't meet the minimum court width requirements. We're not required to have a court, but we're required to comply with the court requirements if we have one. So we're asking special exception relief for that. And then for the 3-unit conversion is also a special exception. So all areas of relief are the special exception. No variances. 2 parking spaces are provided. And let me pull up the plans here. Here's the plan. There's a front elevation. This is the existing on the left, and proposed on the right. This is the rear elevation, existing and proposed. Side elevation. And renderings, the front and the rear. So those are the plans. Do you, available to answer any questions?
So, I know that at one point an inspector was called because there did not appear to be a permit for the building that was happening, and the Department of Buildings told me that there was an inspection and then a stop work order was issued March 21st because there was no permit. Why? I mean, can you explain, like, why was there work being done without a permit?
there was no work being done. The place would we emptied the place out. There was like a whole bunch of debris in the place. When we purchased the property, there was no, I was actually not aware that there was a stop work order on the property. We emptied the place out and cleaned it, and that was it. There was no work being done.
Okay.
In terms of what you're referencing, does that mean demolition?
No, there was no, it was already like in that condition when we bought it. It was just that they'd left all the debris in the middle of the floors. And we emptied it out, we cleaned it, and there was a whole bunch of furniture we cleaned out as well. It was just a big dumpster, basically.
Yeah, I just want to say that the community is really, almost everybody is really not happy with the project. They feel that it's not in the spirit of the other homes on the street, and the parking situation is going to be much worse. And the special exceptions kind of take it far to the side, and there was already work done in the back. There was already an extension in the back. I think it was 15 feet or 10 feet already extended in the back, and now you want to extend it 10 or 15 more. There's also an issue, and then a rooftop deck. People are unsure how that's going to affect the neighborhood.
We are not having a rooftop deck. Sorry to interrupt. We are not having a rooftop deck.
Oh,
And nor
really?
was there a previous addition, was there? I mean, this has gone 15 feet past the rear wall now. That's what we're
In the
proposing.
back, that it was built out in the back pretty recently, like 10 feet or 15 feet.
I doubt that's recent.
This was?
Yeah, 1251.
Yeah, but I doubt that's recent. There's nothing about it that looks recent.
Okay, the
I
neighbors.
mean, it is an addition. I do agree that it is an addition. I just doubt that it's recent.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make you aware also that in the zoning committee, Kevin thinks that if you guys are allowed to expand how you want to, then that might set a precedent for 1249 to be able to expand the same way. And if that happened, it would infringe on the solar panels of 1247. Several of the next door neighbors, not the immediate next door neighbor in 1249, but 1247 and I think 1245 or 1243 have solar panels. So that is an issue, and shadow studies have been done, and you guys turned in your shadow studies, appreciate that. And the yeah, so those are some issues. Community is really not happy about the project.
Should we try to address those issues?
I mean, that's what the
you
meeting's
discussed?
for. The commissioner is
Okay.
addressing it directly to you all.
Okay. I'll take a crack at it, and Sepper, if you want to step in anytime as well. The question about solar panels 2 doors down is interesting. So what we're proposing doesn't impact those solar panels at all, and there's actually not even anything required for us to consider those solar panels. We're asking for 5 feet of relief to go 5 feet beyond what we can do. It's true that when that happens, because they adopted what are called conceptual or contextual zoning regulations, where instead of just looking at a property for its own property, you look at the neighbor's property to see what you can do. Then the neighbor could go 10 feet beyond that as a matter of right. But I don't know how that you can stop with this project. I'm still showing this picture, I guess, and I imagine they're not happy with this particular condition. A housing provider trying to provide 3 housing units would be stopped or opposed because what they do might have somebody else do something down the road, which then might impact somebody else.
Well, precedent setting is not a small deal. That's a big deal.
Well, it's not a precedent. It's not a precedent. It's not like we did this, you can do it. It's extending the wall out. And when we extend the wall out, yes, the other side could extend the wall further. But that is so speculative.
Well, you're speaking to ANC commissioners that see this happen a lot. So I don't think it's speculative. It's just us experiencing this on a regular basis.
Okay, well, I don't know how to solve that.
I really don't. We're looking ahead to prevent problems with the community. And that's where this commissioner is coming from. So I wouldn't say it's speculative.
I'd say that if one person has a problem with some solar panels and worried about the impact on their solar panels would stop 3 families from being provided housing, I think that's a little bit out of whack, frankly. And I think the BZA is not going to consider it at all.
Well, we're not going to argue with you on that. You have your opinion, but you stated what your opinion was, and thank you.
Well, I don't know how else to answer it. I mean, it's not. There are property rights, and housing providers, thank goodness, are allowed to build and renovate and expand properties to provide housing. We keep hearing is so desperately needed in the city.
Yes, affordable housing, but I doubt this is going to be affordable to people that live in Trinidad.
Okay, so if you have no market housings, then every market, well, whatever. I'm not getting into a supply and demand argument with you. But that's okay. Well, and I guess I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, what would solve that problem? Because if we built 10 feet, the neighbor could build 20 feet. So, and that would be matter of right.
I think it would be really nice, like I think Kevin had suggested, if you guys and the community members that are really concerned to our next door neighbors got together and maybe talked about it, maybe could work some things out. And Kevin said that you did request that meeting, and I think that that's greatly appreciated that you requested that meeting. And I hope that maybe we can work things out somehow in that meeting.
If I could interject here, we are not really affecting the solar panel 2 doors down. And these are case-by-case basis. I mean, I'm being denied because next door neighbor might at some point extend, which they still have to come and see you guys. And you would be able to say, hey, well, you're affecting the neighbor next door. You need to work on your design. But I'm 2 doors down. And the concern of parking, I'm adding 2 parkings in the back. So it's not like we're removing parking from Morse Street. You're actually adding additional off-street parking.
Well, you're adding 2 things, but you have 3 units, and with the 3 bedrooms in each unit, people can have roommates. So that's a lot more that you're putting out on the street, really, than you're providing.
That is correct, but I've been doing this for a long time, and we used to have people fight for parking spots and overbid one another. Now I have to give it away in order to, sell the property because nobody has cars anymore. There are less and less people that are.
I think, sir, you need to study more of the neighborhood. Being that we are residents of Trinidad, we see plenty of these units being built and a lot less parking come because of them.
I used to be a resident there not too long ago.
Well, I am still a resident, and as an ANC commissioner, I'll say for a fact, majority of the time, 90% of the time, when these units are built, there's less parking. If you are putting in things like free bike share or free capital bike share benefits, then yes, you'll get folks that ride bikes and they won't be using as much cars. But I don't know if you're providing those voluntary benefits for these units.
I wouldn't even have the space to put it to provide something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just piggybacking off Commissioner Roblin, and from my understanding, have you all engaged these concerned residents?
we were waiting to hear back to have something set up with the residents. We never heard back anything from the residents.
Have you all engaged them? Have you all engaged them? Not going through us. No. We don't get paid. No. We don't get paid for this stuff. So you all
you asked and they didn't. He has asked. Sepper has asked and they haven't responded.
How did you engage them?
I personally dropped off letters in each mailbox on that block.
Okay, perfect. And then the whole block is
both sides.
Okay, and the whole block has been noticed of your public hearing date?
Yes, it was on that letter.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I do hope that we get together and discuss it, and maybe we can make some compromise everyone's happy with. I'm working on getting.
It would be helpful to know what that might look like, because if we're asking for 5 feet of relief in the back.
It's the community. It's really in the community's hands, not really in mine. I'm not sure exactly what they consider more important.
So they have a veto over this. Okay. Well,
I would say obviously.
I mean, I can tell you what the BZA usually considers. 5 feet is de minimis to them practically, and they've never denied a 15-foot case. And they're not going to deny it based on somebody 2 doors down that says somebody might build something in the future. So we'd be happy to work with them if they respond and see what could be there. I'm struggling to see. It's got 2 parking spaces. It's not, what he's proposing is not a huge ask. It's difficult to develop properties for regulatory reasons like this. And it gets even more difficult than when concerns are raised that are difficult to address.
And you guys
very lucrative, though.
I'm sorry?
It may be difficult, but it's extremely lucrative.
Oh, so is that the issue? It's
I'm just
saying, people are upset
like,
about developers making money.
No. I'm just saying it's worth it for you guys. That's why you do it. So I'm just saying,
I just have to step up for the housing providers here, which I don't usually do, because I work with a lot of them, and they go into a deal with competition and they don't get the property for free. And I see communities who don't like properties that sit there like that and want quality housing, but they won't have anything to do or say about it until somebody else tries to do it. And then they have input. Somebody else could buy this property and try to fix it up too and do it for free. Nobody's going to do that because everybody else here has a job, I assume too, that they profit from. So I don't see how that has anything to do with the consideration here of whether or not this meets the special exception criteria. And I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say it's difficult, but it is lucrative. So it sort of balances out some of the difficulty, right? I mean.
Okay. I don't know.
So just to wrap up our last minute here, I'm going to request that Commissioner Roblin confirms the contact information for those residents that are concerned with this project. And you will all have that information, follow up with Commissioner Roblin or get that information by Thursday. That way you all can follow up directly so we know that this engagement concern has been addressed. Moving forward for the public meeting next month, please have a short, concise presentation. Please have renderings that show current viewpoint of the property, as well as what the property is going to look like. Those are very helpful in making decisions when it comes to supporting this project or not. So please have that readily available for your next presentation. And just to reaffirm, we do need the presentation, the material, at least 5 days, 5 to 7 days in advance of the June 12th date. So please forward that to all the ANC commissioners, and just reaffirm those asks that you all will be asking from BZA. It doesn't seem like a complicated matter. I'm just concerned with what this project could potentially lead the block looking like when we have concerned residents that live there, that want to address these concerns. But it seems like there hasn't been the right engagement between you all and them, whether that's them not wanting to directly engage you all or what have you. I just want to make sure that's nipped in the bud so we can address that easily at our next meeting. Is that all right, fellas?
I will I will ask the permission of the constituents and then to give you their number, their contact information if you'd like.
That would be great. I can call them directly. That would be fine.
Sure.
Perfect.
And I apologize for any tense.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. And, rest your mind at ease. I've been doing this for like 20 odd years. It's not always lucrative. So we do lose money on projects. It's not always, great market like it has been in the past couple of years. And there was something mentioned about affordable housing. Yes, correct. These are not low-income housing properties, but they're not going to be priced at $1 million range like the remodeled townhomes in that neighborhoods go for, and which is very expensive for people to move in. So it may not be low-income housing, but it's more affordable than a townhouse for sure.
Commissioner Reed has his hand up. Thank you. Appreciate those.
Yeah, no, I was a little late because I'm multitasking here, putting my son to bed, but I just wanted to offer a couple quick things in response to some of the discussion. One is I'm a solar panel owner myself, and just one note I wanted to make for everyone is that typically if a subsequent development, not this development, but a subsequent development were to impact another resident's solar panels, there would probably be some kind of settlement agreement between that property owner and the resident who would be affected. And I do agree that that's typically a case-by-case consideration. So I wanted to share that perspective because it is usually something that that BZA would take seriously if there were a direct effect on someone's existing system. I was gonna also echo what Marty and his team have said. I think it's tempting to look at development cases like this and assume that the profit margin is very high, but I did want to note that I think in a lot of cases it can be quite tight. And I also wanted to share my personal perspective for the benefit of the group, which is that in order for there to be more affordable housing in DC, we need more units on the market. And that will mean more market rate units. It will also mean more affordable units. But the bottom line is we have a supply and demand problem. And as long as supply is constrained, the price will always go up. So one of the things that I think a lot about as a commissioner is I want to make sure that development honors the needs of the community and respects existing residents, but balance the need to get more units in the city so that our supply goes up and thus demand decreases and pricing pressures can come down. So just sharing that perspective. I don't think that's the majority perspective right now, but I think it's important to put it forward.
Okay, sounds good. We'll see y'all
If
next
I could
month.
add real quick, I'm sorry, because I forgot to mention this. When it comes to solar panels, any developer of the adjacent property would have to prove that they don't impact her solar panels. The threshold limit is like 5% of the total output that she's getting from them. If they affect it by 5%, it's done. She can stop it. I'm sorry.
Annually, 5% annually.
Yeah. So they can't build unless they can prove that. So the burden's on them, and so they're not. If she doesn't want somebody to build there and that'll block her solar panels, she's totally protected at that point. And I'm sorry that I forgot about that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Looks like there's some homework here. We're looking forward to getting an advanced copy of this presentation for next month. And hopefully you all can connect with those concerned residents.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to getting those numbers.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you,
Great.
fellas.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like we just have the remaining DDOT folks. Commissioner Cobb, I need to step into the room. Can you manage the meeting from here in terms of this DDOT matter?
Yep, that's fine.
Perfect, thank you.
Hello, Stephen and ANC 5D.
Hey, Will, good to see you again.
My colleague Beth is joining us too. If you see Beth Turner in the lobby, that's my colleague, and I might be joined by my daughter here too. But if you're ready for me, I can share a screen and get the presentation up. Just walk through kind of where we are at this point.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, let me share my screen and make sure I get the right window. Where? Okay. All right, I have to move a few things around so I can get the presentation mode up. Okay, and for those of you who haven't met me before, my name is Will Hansfield. I'm a transportation specialist with DDOT. I work on a lot of different corridor projects, including those with transit, bicycling, pedestrian components. And this one also has a strong kind of auto safety element as well, because of the sort of historic crash pattern on Mount Olivet Road. I'm joined by my colleague, Beth Turner, who is a manager at the TESD, Transportation Engineering and Signals Division. And she is the manager of the construction branch there. Beth, are you on? Can you say hello and introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, everyone. Good to be here. I'm working with Will on the design and construction of this project. So just wanted to join and answer any questions I could.
Thank you.
That's right. Never mind. It's design and construction branch. So they actually build our build the designs and get them through all these design steps. So I just want to come back. I think probably many of you have seen information about Mount Olivet Road in the past. We're giving you an update about where we are, and then I think we're going to come back. Is it June 10th? Is the full ANC meeting?
That second Monday. I think that's the 12th.
The 12th. Okay, so we'll be back to talk and give the public a larger update. So we'll do these 3 bullet points: background, project development update, and then the construction timeline. So roughly, we are here. We're at the part of the process where we have a design, and we've sent that out into the wilds for comments. The comment period is open through June 15th. So we have this meeting before the end of the comment period, and we can get into different levels of review. I mean, up to and including like going through the actual plan sheets and showing them to people. Although that's not always like the best use of time for an ANC meeting. Usually we stay at a kind of higher level, like what's going on. But then beyond that, the construction on this one will probably start in fall 2023. The main thing that's the trigger on our construction, what we're trying to time and is sort of a moving target for us, is the demobilization of the DC water project. We're going to get to that in a second, but just roughly, this is the location. I showed this slide just to let everyone know this has been in development for a long time. This is the 2013 version of Move DC. There's Mount Olivet Road, and then we updated it in the 2017 Move DC. So you can actually see there's quite a bit of the purple line represents network that's planned this is the bicycle modal element in this case. That does not yet exist, and it continues down 17th Street so that we can, we'll talk about that a little bit too. Sorry, my 6-year-old is instructing our robot assistant to play some songs. So if those start, I might have to jump out and stop those. Just in general, this is a slide we use often. It's from the FHWA, but it tells us something really important about the bicycling network, and that's that if we just leave it to sort of like share the road, we get the kind of rider over there on the right, that's willing to ride in traffic and things like that. But what we're really trying to do is get all those riders on the left side of the chart. It's about a 50 to 60% of the total population. That includes seniors, people riding with kids, kids themselves starting around like 7, 8 years old. So that's really the target audience for much of the planning work we're doing. So just along the Mount Olivet corridor, these are the bigger issues that we're trying to tackle with this. We do have an obligation to address the safety issues prior to the DC water construction, and a little bit since, but this is a high crash corridor, high injury corridor. There are a lot of what we'd consider substandard pedestrian crossings. There's a very specific type of crash risk going on really on any 4-lane road in the district that doesn't have signals. So if you have an unsignalized or no stop control at a pedestrian crossing when there's 4 lanes, that's a place we can expect over some time scale to get fatalities. So we're trying to take a look at every single one of them in the district. We think there's something like 250 of them, and do some sort of mitigation at each one. There's overall interest in reducing the traffic dangers on this minor arterial street. It's got a highly residential character in many parts of it. We have a district-wide objective for connected, protected cycling network for all ages and abilities. There are a number of TSI.
Oh, look, did Will freeze up for anyone else?
Yes, frozen.
And ultimately improving access to and from the Anacostia River Trail and some of our nicer bicycle facilities. Let's see, this is the project corridor that we're working on here. You can see I put a little legend on the side. So I've called out the key locations that we're taking a look at enhancing the pedestrian crossings so that they will most likely have some sort of median refuge so that the pedestrians will only cross 1 lane of traffic at a time. There's 3 of those locations. Over at the western end of this project, we want to connect it to Brentwood Parkway's bicycle facility, and we think an off-street trail for that short distance. It's about 800 feet. And sorry, somebody's knocking at my door. Beth, do you want to take over for a second? And I'm just going to make sure that that's taken care of. I'll go to the next slide so you can walk through that. Thanks.
Yeah, so I guess what Will was talking about was just we're trying to fit this project in right after the DC water project is complete. We're really trying to make sure that there's a seamless transition. And so we're just trying to coordinate with them on them being complete. I think the update that I've received most recently is just that they're not going to be complete until closer towards the end of the summer or early fall. So I think that probably pushes this project into our next construction season. That's kind of what that tells me, but I'll let Will take over.
And thanks. Yes. Part of doing the night meetings for us. Yeah. And so Beth and her team are going to be in charge of constructing it. Just the overall impact on a construction project like what we're talking about here is not very high. It's what we call a tactical project. But yeah, the main thing is sort of timing it against the DC water demobilization. They're going to be responsible for fixing the street, repaving it, and doing a lot of the restoration work. So that's what we have in the future. Let me see, why is it not advancing? Here we go. So just in general, the things that we can talk about with the ANC or the community, just the trade-offs between the safety and peak hour congestion. Really, in the arc of history, that's kind of what this is about, right? A lot of our roads were engineered for this. Really, it's just the peak hours and moving as many cars as possible, and that's created safety problems for the people that live in the city. And Beth and I are among those. Your fellow residents, going through all those problems we listed on the corridor and trying to make sure that we've addressed them satisfactorily. There are bigger picture contributions to sustainable and move DC, Vision Zero, and then trade-offs at rush hour lanes. And just also, we want to make sure we didn't miss anything. making sure we struck the right balance. So right now, there isn't any parking on the corridor, partly because of the DC water work. I think like before it started 4 years ago, there were short sections that had a little bit of parking off peak. So that would not come back under the sort of terms. But anyways, just wanted to open the floor. And sorry, Beth, I didn't put you on once we had the change in the meeting personnel, but I'll add Beth before we talk to the larger community. I also have designs I could show, but I didn't really know if you wanted to get into that, more like high level stuff. But we could look at intersections or corridor specific stuff and talk about it if that's your wish.
I just had 2 design questions really quickly. What is the protection going to look like? Like, I know it said concrete, but what does that mean?
Most likely it will be the, I should put a slide in there so you can see, I guess I took those all out, but it's these sort of 8 foot long, 2 foot wide, hill shaped concrete curbs. If you're downtown, you'll probably see some on different streets. We're using them on more and more projects. And we often on a corridor like this, we'd intersperse those with flex posts, sort of alternating. The distance that we have for those is it varies depending on how much interference we're expecting from curb cuts or cars. I guess there's probably one area that's really difficult. There's like 6 or 7 curb cuts right in a row between Montello, starting Montello and heading east, and that's an area that we're trying to figure out maybe a little bit of a modified barrier because it has to be mountable at all those curb cuts. At the same time, we look at those sites and they're probably at some point in the next 10 years going to get redeveloped. But it's there's some safety concerns for now with the normal ways of doing it there.
Mm-hmm. And then just one other thing, I'm not sure because I know like centerline flex posts, I really like to talk about those. For some reason, DDOT loves to put them in about half the locations they should be, like at the ends of intersections and like that, but then they won't be, say, on either side of a curb cut or something. So someone who's turning can just swing in there and park right in the bike lane and take up the entire thing, which you can't get out of because on a bike, you just have to pop into traffic. And, that's incredibly dangerous. So I would love to see centerline flex posts everywhere, just every entrance exit to the bike lane, because I've seen this problem on 20th Street. I've seen it on Florida Avenue Northeast. I have seen it on 4th Street Southeast. I've seen it in every quadrant in every cycle track that I've been on in DC, which as far as I can tell is all of them, except maybe the Hospital Highway, but that's a different project. That's a different beast. So I just want to see all the possible centerline flex posts because, another consideration is I don't know how much of an issue it is now, but I do know that behind one of the liquor stores on Mount Olivet by Montello, there's an illegal chop shop or like car repair place. And I can absolutely see somebody parking their junker in the cycle track in front of that liquor store. And it just ends up staying there for months because somebody's working on it.
And there's one thing I want to talk to you about. It's a sort of joint enforcement issue that we could work together on, which is in front of that liquor store, same one, every street view picture we can find seems to have, and when we went on a site visit, they seem to have the delivery trucks parked on the sidewalk in front of the liquor store. Despite having a huge parking lot next to it, they park across the sidewalk. So I sent an enforcement note to our friends at Parking Enforcement to ask them to make that part of their regular patrols. But I feel like it's got to, we got to kind of add to the enforcement requests as much as possible, because it's just really, there's no universe where that's okay to park on the sidewalk when doing beer deliveries or whatever. And we need to get that enforced, because otherwise, for the same reason we think that there will be an incentive for them to park in the cycle track if we actually succeed in that, moving them off the sorry, mac and cheese being put in my direction. So anyways, that's one that if we can all team up and get parking enforcement's attention on it, I think would serve us well for this project. And I'll acknowledge your request for the centerline flex post, and It seemed, I think the ones that you're probably familiar with that have the most flex posts in the center are probably Beth's designs from prior projects. Beth's, generally, and I prefer them too. So, it just depends on who's designing it. But yeah, we try to do as many of those as possible.
I appreciate that, but I just I take your note about the enforcement aspect, but I'm already putting in 311 requests for all the safe accommodations, blocked sidewalks, blocked this, blocked that I possibly can just on my day-to-day. And frankly, it's exhausting, and it's a major cause of burnout, especially knowing that maybe only 10% of them will actually have any sort of resolution. So we can just engineer the problem right up from the beginning. Let's do that.
Noted. Thank you.
That's all.
I'll hop in with a couple quick questions. Will, I wondered, I know you didn't necessarily want to go slide by slide through the corridor, but could you maybe show us a couple of samples of sort of what the street will look like? I think that'll be especially helpful at the public meeting, but maybe for our benefit now, you could just give us a preview.
Oh, sure. I'll probably have to go to Street View, but let me,
sure.
I think I'll.
I think the NOI had a couple sort of renderings of, I'm not sure what you typically call, I'm calling it a cross section, but I'm thinking of where you see sort of, it'll have, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's a driving lane in each direction, a center turn lane, and then a cycle track. Yeah.
Yeah, generally that's the overall design motif for this one.
And my other question, just to give it to you now, I was going to ask if you could talk about the 17th Street connection and the timeline there.
Yeah, so we are in design on the northernmost section, 17th Northeast, that's in your area. So it starts at Bladensburg and goes to Benning. We're in design from the southern section. So we're kind of going from the south up and the north south, or the north down. So we're gonna hopefully tackle the entire corridor. And believe it or not, it's an area of much consternation among within DDOT because of some of the implications for rush hour traffic. But we think that there's a very compelling interest served by the safety improvements we would get that overwhelms any impacts on the rush hour side of things. So we're pushing that forward. I think we're going to see a 30% pretty soon on 17th Street. So that one's coming right along.
Okay. And when we get a 30%, is that then, I know we need there's a 65 after that, right? So we're still ways out on 17th Street. It sounds like further behind than Mount Olivet.
Yeah. And it can go pretty quick, to be honest, between those two phases. But I wouldn't think that 17th would be done before, calendar 2024, probably like a spring project at the earliest.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna share again. Let's see so this is, I just try to pull up an image, and it's doesn't have quite the right barriers in this rendering, but just so you can see kind of the streetscape. I'll find one that has a more like barrier, but this is kind of the overall, right? This was a 4-lane road that we did a road diet, and it's got a cycle track on one side, one traveling each direction. This one's, kind of processed into turn lanes, the different points in the corridor. So, but what I'll do is I'll just make sure we have a good representative image. The one I was thinking of it's a little much, but it's like along the National Mall. It's like the same exact pattern actually is this, with the bigger concrete barriers. But this is essentially the kind of roadway pattern you're going to get. What we found on this one, and we haven't gone to the press or reported this, but just because we're talking now, I want to share it with you. When we did this pattern to 15th Street, it looks like the crashes went down like 50% by changing the roadway from a 4-lane to a 3-lane pattern. Like I said, we're just trying to make sure our data is sound and that we can report it because it's a pretty significant finding. But that's across all users. But most of the crashes are car crashes. So when I say these are multimodal projects and multimodal safety projects, it's not fake. Like there's a huge benefit to drivers that no longer have the same very high crash risk. because of the kind of changes in the dynamics that happen here. So, but I hear I'll add some slides of like, what does it actually look like and what can I expect on my street? We tend not to predict safety outcomes because, you know, they're inherently unknowable until it actually happens. But we have a pretty strong track record in doing these road diet type projects of like, you know, big safety improvements. Another one that it's near to you was Brentwood Parkway, which we did near ANC circa, was that 2020? I think it was Brentwood Parkway, and that one had a pretty significant reduction in crashes along that one. It has like a similar thing, but with parking. And this one does have those concrete blocks, but you know, as you go up the corridor, I think, you know, again, we had a pretty strong record of crashes on Brentwood Parkway. And when we went to a single lane in each direction, they dropped a lot. So
would it would be those barriers?
No, they're even, let me just get to the right.
It would be like the wide flat ones that I've seen recently in some of the newer projects.
Yeah, that's the ones. It's this is Ivy City, or this is the type.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah.
So we're using these pretty much on, you know, all the projects that they fit, and this is one that they'll fit.
Is it going to be paired with flex posts on Mount Olivet or no?
Yeah, we think it needs some flex posts as well.
Okay.
And then the one spot that's really a little bit challenging is over here on like between the Texas, you know, I think this is closed now, but you see what I mean? Like these trucks relentlessly are parked up here. So I'll see what I can do. Maybe Beth, what do you think? Maybe some planters on in the public space here to like physically block their movements, or we have to, you know, sharpen our pencils on this one. There's already some like gates and bars and things. It really defies belief why they don't just use this enormous parking lot to deliver the product.
And just for the commissioners, one thing that just occurred to me is the liquor licenses for these places, at least Kovacs, might have a provision requiring trucks to use like the loading area or loading dock. So if we can get proof of multiple violations, we could take them back to I guess now it's ABCA, and threaten them with getting their liquor license revoked.
Now we're playing hardball. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, fuck them. Seriously, Kovacs is a terrible neighbor who does terrible things, and just citywide, I'm tired of seeing these trucks on the sidewalks. So, you know, I'll take their liquor license. I don't care.
Just hold on. Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of stuff that gets results. So just to speak to, like, there's like 6 curb cuts all in a row right here, and so I'm trying to figure out turn lane. We're trying to close several of them, which unfortunately, you know, that process is like a long-ish legal process with our right-of-way team and our attorneys to like compensate people. So this is the one I want to close. Sure.
So it's like effectively an eminent domain thing.
Yeah, but we can't. It doesn't move very fast. In frankness, so you will get results in time. It's just, you know, it's frustratingly long. So we're going to try to close this one. And any others, but we think this whole corridor looks like you know, you've seen the development in Trinidad. It's pretty strong, like apartment growth, and like these are gigantic lots, you know, with very low value kind of uses on top of them.
They're not that big. They're not that big. They only fit about so many cars in them. Is there a reason why you're closing that?
Why we're trying to close the curb cut? Well, it probably won't happen before we're ready for construction, I guess is what I'm getting at. Like this one, there's a curb cut here. This person has 3 curb cuts for this market. Objectively, like 1 would be enough, but like 2 would be enough. And this is the one that's closest to the intersection. So that's like the best one for us to work on closing. You know, most of these uses have multiple curb cuts, like 1, 2, right? Like if somebody were to permit this today, they would not get this many, you know, they'd get like 1, if that. So anyways, we're trying to work through the regular channels, and usually when the curb cut gets closed, like this owner would be compensated for the loss, whatever they're able to negotiate for. So, but anyways, that's the place where we're working to figure out like a, you know, a solution for cycle track protection and crosswalk protect, because this is one of those crosswalks right here that, like, if it goes back to this, you can just see, like, it's kind of crazy even how it's set up during this temporary roadway pattern. Like 4 lanes is a dangerous crosswalk, so we want to put a refuge in this one, or maybe flip it to the other side so it goes over here or something like that. So doing
to get more clarity on this crosswalk, it's been a few months now that we've been kind of waiting for you guys to give us something more concrete than, oh well, we might do this, we might do that.
Let me show you a design for another road diet that has one of these. It's right about here. Okay, so here's New Jersey Avenue. But we need to be a little further north than that. This is the old, let's see, I thought the street view was updated with the new, there it is. All right, so this is what we built. This is New Jersey was a 4-lane street. It's very similar to Mount Olivet. It got protected bike lanes, which is one on each side, but it also got these refuges at the, well, just a single one, but at an uncontrolled crosswalk. We're doing more and more of these throughout the city because it is a safe way to allow people to cross when you aren't able to do a signal or a stop sign. So they're only crossing one travel lane with a refuge in the middle and then another travel lane. So doing this type of crosswalk at the multiple places, both on 17th and on Mount Olivet, is the goal that I want to, share with you guys. That's what we'd like to do. It'll make the crossings vastly safer, vastly less likely to result in car crashes happen at the unimproved version of this, as well as pedestrian crash. So this is the before, and for reasons I could get into, but it's kind of lengthy discussion. There are a lot of crashes that happen at crosswalks like this, car crashes and pedestrian crashes. And when we change them to something like what you see here, they can frankly be eliminated, and a lot of those risks just go away. So we'd like to do that here or on Mount Olivet as well.
Yeah, that's great. And you said, Will, that would be the desired style for 17th in addition.
Say that again, sorry.
No, it's okay. I was asking if that was, I think I heard you say that you would also look at that for 17th.
Yeah, 17th has, I think, like along the entire corridor, like 6 locations like that.
They're terrible.
They're all bad. With a long enough time scale, you can just predict that somebody will get very hurt or killed at a crosswalk like this one if they're not improved. So we really try to do that. I think in the version that we did here, so we took out the other one, right? So we took out the one that didn't have that refuge and sort of isolated it. That's another technique, right? So you do lose one of the 2 crossings in this circumstance. But the one that remains is vastly safer. So that's what we're trying to do in a lot more locations.
Yeah, and I think you could do that on 17th. I live at Lyman, just off of 17th, okay. And Lyman's an example of where Lyman hits 17th. There is a crosswalk on both sides of Lyman. You could definitely consolidate to one and better protect it, because I think we have this issue all the time trying to cross Lyman at 17th, or any of this. Lang, all along there. There some of those have lights, but some of them, like Lyman and Lang, are right. It's really, really tough to get across the street.
So go ahead, Commissioner.
No, I was just going to say. One of the things I was going to share with you, Will, is I don't know, if there's anything. You mentioned that there are some internal concerns about traffic flow, rush hour, whatnot. I think one of the things I want to share is that, Bladensburg is obviously being worked on, but it's got a long horizon. We're talking about, 2026, 2027. I think, if you build Mount Olivet and it terminates at Bladensburg, it leaves people with nowhere to go that is, a safe road to transit in it. Even in a car, 17th is hard to drive in a car. So I want to just emphasize, my neighbors have been clamoring for something to be done about this street for a long time. So if there's anything we can do, if DDOT wants to talk about the concerns, get community feedback. I mean, I think all those things are worth doing, because this road, along with Mount Olivet, I see it as a a continuum of really needing to create safe passage for residents to move within 5D. I mean, it's really hard to get out of Carver Langston and into Trinidad or beyond Ivy City Union Market.
Yeah, and I think just, the NOA is open, so you have an opportunity to respond during the open comment period. And I think reinforcing the things that you've been hearing from your residents about the traffic safety issue, not to reinforce it too much, but I think DDOT it really is helpful to hear those things directly as much as we talk about them in person. Institutionally, there's 800 people that work at DDOT or more now, but just having those things on record so you can point to them and see, like, hey, look, this is what, yes, we're going to have some level of lower peak hour traffic volume going through here, but this is what people deal with on a daily basis. There's a ton of crashes. People feel threatened when they're trying to cross the street in their own neighborhood. We can't let those kind of conditions last. So really hearing those so we can push back on people who are, expressing concerns of, like, these citywide traffic patterns. Like, well, look, people have to have safety and security and a better outcome, frankly, from DDOT. And it's it's the work of our generation to push back on these sort of like older designs that prioritize fast moving traffic. And I think you guys understand kind of exactly what that means in your neighborhood. So I'll stop there. I don't want to take up all your time. I thank you for having us for so long and giving us the opportunity to share these plans with you.
I just had a quick question. Are we going to be seeing any similar situations that we saw on West Virginia Avenue, where the bike lane installation made it worse for drivers trying to get onto the road?
Trying to get onto the road? I think you mean like where they're turning onto the road.
Yep. All the neighbors hate all the drivers in Trinidad hate how that happened, including myself. I literally have to get into the crosswalk, get into the bike lane just to see if cars are coming. And that to me is a hazardly bad pedestrian issue.
I would say probably not. There's not going to be parking along this road that sort of has the visibility conflict that I think what you're seeing if you're trying to turn on West Virginia. If there's a car parked in that parking lane, that's what's maybe causing that visibility issue, but there won't be cars parked adjacent to the cycle track. So turning on and off Mount Olivet shouldn't be difficult.
Perfect. That's what I want to hear. Thanks.
And same with 17th. 17th, I think there's one small place where there's like peak hour, off-peak hour parking allowed. And anyway, so it wouldn't be, you wouldn't have a visibility issue with 17th either when we get to that one.
Great. I will, and Bethany, we really appreciate you joining, and you will be able to present at our June 12th public meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for the notes on presentation stuff. We'll tune it up and have some more images and talk it through. Thank you.
And you said the comment period is still open?
Still open. And if you need a few more days to wrap it up, we're not going to like slam the door on comment period. So whenever you get them to us, around that time, we're looking for your feedback.
When does the comment period close?
June 15th.
Okay. Well, in our meetings, so if we get something out, we could submit it by then.
Great. Appreciate it. Well, thanks.
Sorry for vanishing. For some reason, my Zoom cut out right after I asked you that question, but I appreciate all your feedback.
Okay. Well, have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you on the 12th.
Thanks, both.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Okay, commissioners, I think we're good. Just a friendly reminder again, add those, send me those agenda items if you have them. And other than that, see you in a couple weeks.